Okay, here we are again. It's third time lucky. Hopefully everything will work fine now. I do apologize for this. I have no idea why the system is crashing on me, but let's try again. Is there anyone out there? There are a few people out there. Good. Right, we're getting there. So as I was saying, the theme is checkmate, and I'm going to throw lots of puzzles at you today. So I'm going to try once again, and let's see whether this one breaks down or not, as the case may be. So let's try again. Here we go. So let's just switch boards. And let's see whether this actually works. Okay, here we go. So let's stop this. Okay, here we go. Now, hopefully you can see this board. Is it working? Is it working? Sound is fine. Good. Right, so can you see the board? It is black to play. So here you have to do a little bit of calculation. It's a board for ants. Okay, it's a small board. All right, let me try and just expand that a little bit. How's that? Hopefully that's better. Okay, so here's the story. It's black to play. Now, Sword of Damocles is hanging over your head. Rook G7 check. So what are you going to do about that? Can you find the solution? Now, this involves some calculation. What are you going to do about this one? Black to play. This one's rather sweet. So you're going to have to work this one out. And you're going to have to give me a whole variation. It's all gone very quiet. So black to play. Someone asked me earlier, should I be studying openings or should I be studying puzzles like this? Well, you should be studying both, of course. It's not an either-or situation. However, many people neglect to look at these kind of classic checkmating positions. And I think, you know, when we have these at our mental fingertips, then it is very, very important, because it's very useful for us, because enable us to calculate more easily. It's a kind of shorthand when you're calculating, when you see these patterns very, very quickly. So what's the story, folks? Digan23 wants to take the bishop. So he wants to play check here, here, and take off the bishop. Well, do you know what? Of course, you can take the bishop, and that is completely winning. I don't think white has anything there at all. Raj, it's black to play. Sushan Acharya says, Rook F4, my intuition. I'm afraid intuition won't help you out when you're calculating. When you're finishing off a game of chess, you need to just calculate. Okay, I'm going to calculate. You might be using your intuition, but I'm going to calculate, and I'm going to say queen takes rook. And I think that is going to be the end of that very shortly. That's the end of your intuition. Yeah, but Sushan, it's okay. Listen, we all make mistakes, but what I'm saying is, in this, when you're trying to finish someone off, it's best not to use your intuition. You need to be precise, and that's what this position is about. So let's try this. So here, 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 and yeah, we have Queen E6 suggested. The reason I like this is that, well, let's see what happens. In this position, this is what happened. Check here, and that's mate. So basically, we finished with the queen the other side. So if I put this queen over, let's put it back to where we started, back here. So the queen started here, and by the end of this little sequence, we managed to put it on h5, and that's checkmate. So let's just see that there. I just thought that was rather pleasing. Very simple. Okay. Now, we got the video back. Fantastic. That seemed to be the sticking point whenever I wanted to switch back. Okay, so I'm going to give you another position straight away. Let me just get rid of some windows in front of me. Wait a second. Sorry, I'm just cleaning up my screen here because I'm being cluttered by windows. Next position. Okay, now we've got an endgame. These are all fairly simple, but like I said, if you have these ideas at your fingertips, then it makes calculation so much easier. Okay, so here's the next position. So here we go. This is from the US Women's Championship, and it is black to play. Sarbarsov says Shakhmatny Turnier behind him. Exactly. That poster does say Shakhmatny Turnier. It says, actually, you probably can't read it. It says Международный Shakhmatny Turnier. It was a tournament I played in the Soviet Union in 1985. Okay, black to play. So it's this classic endgame of rook and bishop against rook, and in this position, white finds herself in big trouble. How did black win this one quickly? Over to you. Any thoughts here? Rook a2. Well, let's start with rook a2. Yeah, that's a very good start. Well, rook h7, in fact, threatening a mate here on a7. So I'll defend that with rook a8. Now, how does black win from here? You see, this, the first move was easy, but now you've got to find how to follow it up. So black to play again. What's your next move? First one was easy. Omkar Chakradea says rook g7. Yeah, well, we could play rook g7. I'll play here. And then what do you do? Not so clear after rook g7. And if you come back this way, well, I'll come back that way. And white fights another day. No, Alexander, I'm sorry. No, we don't need a waiting move. We just need a strong move. And Simone Montelaghi has it with king b4. This is the correct move. And this puts, well, almost, white almost in Zugzwang. So this is how the game went. Check, here, here, and now what? What's black's next move? Now white is in big trouble. How does black finish it off from here? Zia Dalkilic says now waiting move. Yes. Now you can just play a waiting move. Yeah, just rook g7. And now white is in Zugzwang. And that really is the end of the game. And there are many waiting moves, of course. Yep, any bishop moves, says Alexander Harris. Yeah, you could, I guess, play any bishop moves. Well, you could just play here. That will do nicely as well. Yep, good. You got that one? Okay, let's hopefully we come back to the video. Yes, we're back again. Okay, I seem to have got the technique. So, all right, you can see that these kind of mating patterns you get in the middle game. You sometimes get them in the opening, but you get them in the end game as well. So here we go. Here's your next one. Whoops, hang on. These are all pretty easy, but they're kind of nice. I'm going to zip through this game very, very quickly. Forgive me if this is a bit quick, but anyway, there is a point to all this. Oop, it's all happening now. You can see White's king's in big trouble. It ain't over till it's over. Okay, now, White thought he might survive. He's a pawn up. He's got a 2 against 1 pawn majority on the queen side. But what did Black play next? Over to you guys. Black's play again. We need... Oh, you can't see the position. Is that what you're telling me? Sorry, my fault. I didn't share the board. Okay, my fault. Sorry. Okay, hopefully you got it now. Sorry, I got very excited. So in this position, Black has a big attack, but somehow White gets back. And in this position, he's got a 2-1 pawn majority on the queen side. He's a pawn up. Is Black in trouble? No, he's not. Okay, what happens next? What should Black do? Now, I'm not looking for intuition. I'm not looking for a guess on the first move. I'm looking for a clean variation that leads to checkmate. So if you could write that one in, please, I'd be grateful. So how does Black win from here? Yeah, everyone's just giving me one move, and I don't want one move. I want a whole variation that leads to checkmate. This is all about calculation. Ofar has given me Queen G1, King F4, Queen H2. Then I guess I've got Queen G3 at the end of that. Okay, Raj Trivedi and Omkar Chakradeo are getting closer with Queen G1, King F4, G5. Very good, but you've missed it after G5. The king can go to F5. Rickard Stendon wants Knight E5. Queen can't take, threatening Queen G4 and Queen F3. That's an interesting idea. But after Knight E5, yes. So if Knight E5, let's just show that. So Knight E5, Queen takes and checkmate. That's interesting. So after Knight E5, now what's the threat? That's my first question. So presumably Queen G1, and then the king would go up. The knight would check somewhere, maybe here. It's close. I don't know. Is this clear? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if this is checkmate, but I don't know. If I play a move like F4, does that defend? Because now the queen is able to cover this square. Yeah, I think F4 gives White, well, a slim chance of surviving this position. Ah, Queen G4 is the threat. But then the king comes... is it mate? Is this mate? here, knight here. Am I just about surviving there? I might do. I might survive. Oh, it looks like somebody's found the answer. Somebody might have found the answer. So I'm not quite convinced by 95, but if I come back to this position, Queen G1, G5, this is correct. Because after this, here, that's mate. And after King F5, well done to Anjanea. King F5, here's the tricky move. Queen B1, Queen cuts back, checking the king. The king comes back, knight F6. I'm afraid that is that. That is definitely the end of the show, because after this one, well, you can choose your poison, but let's say this and that. Or G4 checkmate, or however way you want to do it. Here and here. And again, you can choose your poison. Yeah, well worked out. So that was the clear way to do it, I'm afraid. Okay, not the other one. Hopefully we're back. Well, we're back with a video again. You can see my ugly mug. Sorry for all the technical problems. Hopefully I've solved them now. I think I've understood what I was doing. It was, I don't think it was a problem with the software. The problem was all mine. I was simply hitting the wrong button when I was just coming back to the main screen. Okay, I'm going to show you another. 1 second. Let me hit you with another one. Okay, this is a bit of fun. This is very, very easy. Zia says, how do you feel about seeing till G5 and playing it out immediately in online chess? I'm not quite sure what you mean. I mean, you know, blitz chess is something different to normal chess. I'm concerned with normal chess and trying to find the best moves. Right, let's have a look at the next position. Okay, here we go. Your next position. Well, obviously white is winning this, but I'm looking for the checkmate. And again, I want to see a variation. I'm not interested in moves. I'm not interested in kick and run chess. I'm interested in calculation. Okay, it's all gone very quiet again. White is a stack of pieces up here, but I'm looking for a clean kill. Again, if you only give me one move, I'm not interested. I want a full variation to checkmate. This is all about calculation. I'm not interested in one move. I want to see the full variation. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Okay, I think we've gone far enough. Rook G2. I mean, so many moves win here. But here we go. Yeah, I think we've got close enough with this. There are many, many ways to win. You could play knight f5 here, or you could play bishop b1, bishop g5, and bishop g4. Okay, this was not difficult. Okay, I'll come out of that one. And we're still back. That's good news. So I've managed to crack it, folks. A slightly stressful beginning, but I think I've managed to sort out what the problem was, folks. Okay, let me give you the next one. I'm not giving you any time to relax. So let me just set up the position. And I'll answer one of your questions in a second. So here's the problem. Now, in this position, White played bishop d4 check. And here's my question for you. Where should the king move to? Over to you. And the question from Abhishek Singh is, which player do you want to play Carlsen in World Championship to have entertaining matches? Well, first of all, I would say you're not always guaranteed to have entertaining matches in the World Championship. That's just the nature of the beast. However, I would quite like to see Aronian play against Carlsen. I think they might be interesting, but I think World Championship matches are about tension, and I find the tension entertaining, even if the straight moves on the board aren't always entertaining. Yes, king e6. If king g5, then yeah, h4. This is the problem, as Richard Stenlund says. And h4 is a rather strong move because, well, for example, here, and this, and rook h7 checkmate. And if king takes, then we've got bishop f6, and this forces a checkmate. There we go. So that one was pretty easy. So in this case, king e6 was the only chance for black to survive, although white still has a fantastic position, but that was the only chance to survive. Okay, let me get out of that one and give you the next one. So yeah, World Championship matches, you know, in the last few years, the players are always given a hard time. I always love the World Championship matches, even if everyone says they're really boring. I find them really interesting because they're so tense. Okay, I'll give you the next one. Okay, let me see. Let me find a position for you. Oh, this is good fun. This is a nice one. Okay, over to you. So in this position, let me just sort this out. Whoops. I hope you didn't see that. Omkar Chakradeo asks, don't you think checkmate patterns are only for beginner levels? No, I don't think that at all. But also, I mean, the ones I'm showing you are very, very simple. Well, for you, they're very, very simple, clearly. But for others, they're not so simple. But these kind of patterns are incredibly important, as I said, because if you have them at your fingertips, then it can make calculation much, much easier. So here's your next one. So Omkar, they might be easy for you, but they're not easy for everyone. And it's the speed that you see the ideas which is incredibly important. So over to you. Guest informant says knight takes h1. That's not a legal move in this position. Thank you, guest informant. Unless you're seeing a different position to the one I have on the board. No. No, it's all gone very quiet. Okay, we've got two suggestions for rook g7, clearly with the idea of switching the rook here. Yep, very good. In fact, King G7 was played with the same idea, of course, to bring the rook to the H file. And then Knight H4. Yep, Boyan Maximovich. Well done. You have the idea. So the idea is now rook H8, and there is no defense to this. Here takes, and there's a very sweet move indeed. Threatening G2, and if knight takes, then rook H2 mate. Nick Gatrell asks, Daniel, who was the player in your view that was good enough to be a world champion out of Paul Keresh, David Bronstein, or Viktor Korchnoi? Boyan proudly says that he's an FM. Well done. Well, none of them were good enough to become world champion because they didn't. There we go. Of course, they're all fantastic players. What can I say? Okay, next position. Knight takes H1 mate was a reference to the Kasparov story, I think. Okay, you've lost me there, I'm afraid. Let me give you another position. Just a moment. Okay, just a second. Next position coming on the board. Okay, black to play. What are you going to do? I'd like a variation, please. What about Vasily Ivanchuk? Well, he's not world champion yet, is he? Any more for any more? Black to play. What are you going to do? Omkar says rook e4 and then queen g3, which is very neat, actually. Let's have a look at this. Rook e4 is obviously a good idea. Yeah, nice here and cutting across there. And must be winning because rook here is threatened. Any defense? Well, black is a rook down, so there might be a defense here. Oh, no, well, no, he's only the exchange down. This is true. It looks strong. If I take this, does this help? Let me see. Queen g3 check. This must be winning for black. Here takes here. Yeah, this is winning. You can take everything. Here, here, here. I'm going to play this out. This is rather good fun. Here and for example. That will do nicely. Yeah, well done. In fact, in the game, he didn't play rook takes e4. He played queen g3 check first. But I think rook takes e4 first is good. He played queen g3 check, and then he played rook e4. And that was the end of the game, because if takes, then queen e5 is mate. Well done. Okay, good. Well, we seem to be on a roll at the moment. These are very, very simple positions. Let me white control rook h8. Abhishek Singh asks, how powerful is the Evans Gambit? The Evans Gambit is a very dangerous opening. Of course, it's not sound at the highest levels. You know, you don't. This is a very rare visitor in top level chess because it's simply not a very good opening. but at lower levels, then it is a very dangerous opening because black really needs to be aware of what's going on. Daniel, did Paul Morphy ever post Staunton and Steinitz? I mean, play? No, Staunton backed out of playing Morphy, and Steinitz was a bit later. Nishant Labaka asks, what are the best books for 1700 players? I'm going to do, I think next time I will devote an entire session to books. But if you want to look at some good books, then do look at my New in Chess reviews, my book reviews on the channel. There is a playlist there where you can find my recommendations. Rickard Stenland says, didn't Kasparov play the Evans Gambit? He did indeed play the Evans Gambit, but only for, like 2 or 3 games. And then he went back to, the Spanish, the Scotch. It was just a surprise weapon. Nigel Short plays the Evans Gambit now and again, just as a surprise weapon. Yeah, it's not Murphy, by the way, it's Morphy. But anyway, that's another matter. Let me take you through another position. Let me see. This is nice. Okay, here we go. Let me just switch the board. Just 1 second, folks. Okay, here we go. Zia says, Mr. King, I think you need a swag store for Power Play Chess if there isn't one. Yeah, there isn't one, but that's been on my to-do list for a long time. I will bear that in mind. So we want to get some merch out there. Okay, here we go. Black to play. What would you do here if you had black to play? Mugs and mouse pads. Yeah, I know, Zia. That's exactly what I want to try and organize, but it's just a question of time. Guest informant. Yes, repeat what I said. Kasparov beat Anand with the Evans. It was a surprise for him. Absolutely. Kasparov did beat Anand. That's the one I was referring to, but it was just a surprise. Kazagusa asks, do you have an idea how much top 10 player makes in terms of dollars a year? How much of a living can you make and where does the income come from? Well, the top players don't do badly because, I think this sponsorship from St. Louis has made a big difference to their incomes. So, couple $100,000 a year is possible. And they get a, sponsorship as well. So prize money and sponsorship. Guest informant asks, why is Zurich 53 so highly rated? By the way, Boyan Maximovich, it is actually black to move. Black to move. Zurich 53 is so highly rated because there was an extraordinary collection of players, and there was a wonderful book by David Bronstein written on the tournament. But you're, in a sense, you're right that there were many other excellent interzonal tournaments that were as good. It's just that there was a very good book written on it. It's black to play, folks. Black to play. Raj, it's black to play. Lots of people are suggesting b6. If b6, then can I not play this move? Isn't this fantastically strong? King c3 with the idea of rook a1 mate. And if here, then I just play knight b3, and again, rook a1 mate. Seems to do the job. So I'm afraid not good. Someone's suggesting b5. e5, does that work? Oh, no, hang on. I've got check here, and I think that's checkmate. It is. So I'm afraid b5. So b5 and b6 seem to lose as far as I can see. And let's just check b6 again. Yeah, king c3, and this, it's over. How is this checkmate? Because I delivered checkmate. I'll just show that again. Here, and that is checkmate. That's how it's checkmate. So, yeah, in fact, in this position, the best move is indeed king b4. King b4 is the best move, and this is just a draw. White doesn't have anything more than a draw in this position. Because this, for example, this is a dead draw. In the game, if I go back, this position, instead of king b4, black played queen h4, but I'm afraid after king c3, threatening rook a1 mate, knight b3, and that was the end of that. So that was checkmate. Okay, let me just get out of that. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Someone has mentioned Alaska. Why is Alaska rarely mentioned as the greatest of all time? Oh, some people think it's the greatest of all time. Do you know what? Players go in and out of fashion. I'm not a fan of these lists of, you know, the greatest of all time. It's purely subjective. Lasker was world champion for I don't know how many years. So, well, was it 1896 to 1921? I know that the First World War intervened. So perhaps he would have lost his title before then. But Lasker was brilliant. You know, he came back and in the mid 1930s, Moscow 1935, he won an incredibly strong tournament when he was in his 60s. So Lasker was brilliant. But yeah, personally, I think it's fruitless to compare world champions, so try to say who was the best. Anjanea says, tomorrow is my state tournament, and should I solve tactical puzzles before the game? Before the game, give yourself a rest. That's the best thing to do. I would say get a good night's sleep. That's going to help you the most. I'm talking about, you know, long-term training. You know, little and often is very helpful to do these kind of tactical puzzles, and it is very, very useful. But before the game, the night before the game, get a good night's sleep. Save your energy. Omcast says, have I seen any non-chess players smarter than chess players in general? I think you've got it. You've got the wrong end of the stick here. Chess is a very specific activity. Just because you're a good chess player, it doesn't mean you're good at anything else. Or you know, intelligence is something that could be measured in different ways. You do get chess players who are intelligent, but it doesn't mean they're anything good at anything else apart from playing chess. So, sorry, Omkar. I think, anyway. Nick Gatrell says, Daniel, I'm playing the Vienna game in my tournament games and getting good results. Is the Faulkner Gambit any good at club level? Well, it's a very dangerous gambit. If the Vienna works for you, stick with it. That's fine. Let me give you another puzzle before we descend into nonsense again. Let me try this one. Oh, no, that's not very good. One second. Also not the best. Hang on. I'm going to find a nice one somewhere, somehow. Okay, this is... Well, you either know this or you don't, but let me try this on you. In this position, it is white to play, so we can see the classic rooks on the 7th rank. And there is a very simple technique that white has here to force a win. What is white's simple technique to force a win? Yes, the question about which player troubled Kasparov the most. Ivanchuk had good games against Kasparov, and of course, towards the end of his career in the late 90s, well, from the mid-90s onwards, Kramnik posed enormous problems. Gabe, enjoy your lunch, and I hope work goes well. So here we go. What's the technique that white has to force a win in this position? Penguin F, well done. Well done. Yeah, Zia suggests this, but this doesn't win, or yeah, possibly this, with the idea of this. But actually, well, I think black can defend by moving the rook across. And several people have suggested a correct continuation, which is simply to advance the h-pawn. Simple technique. You put your pawn on h6, you give a check here, and you deliver checkmate. Very simple. That's the way to go. So here, 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 and checkmate. Just one of those things, once you know it, it's incredibly simple, but incredibly important. Well done. Okay, let me just come out of that. There, good. Let me find another position for you. No, that's too easy. Oh, this is quite good fun. Okay, I'll give you this one. Okay, one last one. Then I'll take some questions. Okay, here we go. Whoops. Hope you didn't see that. So, white to play. What you going to do? Okay, I'll take your questions in a second. First of all, you've got to solve this one. Queen h8 has been suggested. Well, if queen h8, then I will simply move the king up the board. Sorry, that one's not good enough. Okay, Carl, take care. E4 suggested. Don't quite get that. I'll hack it off. Yes, well done to Omkar. Yep, and others. And Akib and Abhishek. Yeah, bishop f5. Well done. Here we go. Check here and queen here. And that is rather sweet checkmate. Beautiful. There we go. Well done. You see, some people say, well, that's very easy, but there are some of you that didn't get that straight away. But this is the thing. You need to be able to see this kind of thing and play it like that. And it's like a shortcut in your calculation. You know, if you'd seen this position a few moves previously, and you know that you could see the checkmate like that, then it makes calculation so much easier. That's the thing. Right, let me take some questions. Let me just go back. Wait a second. Any suggestions against the Philidor? Oh, well, I quite like 3 bishop c4, actually. That's quite a sneaky move. So e4, e5. Let me show you, actually. Let me find a clear board. Just a second. Okay, let me show this to you. Rickard Stenland. Just 1 second. I'll show this to you on the board. So the Philidor. Well, first of all, d4 is a good move. That's one thing. I mean, I don't see what's wrong with d4 at all. Bishop c4 is actually a very annoying move for black. It's quite a nice move. So if they play knight f6, this is actually quite strong. Incredibly. And if d5, you can just take it. And then we get some funny stuff like this, but this is simply good for white. You can either play knight e5 or you can play queen e2 in this position, depending on what you want to do. But that's better for white. So very often they play bishop e6, but actually you can just take this and play d4. And well, white has a nice space advantage. That personally, that's the one. I've played that in the past. But I don't. I mean, I see nothing wrong with playing d4. You know, the Philidor is not a worrying opening. You know, there are many other openings that I can think, wow, yeah, okay, I need to make sure I've got something against the Najdorf or, you know, whatever. But the Philidor, it's just better for white. Omkar asks, do you think the playing strength of a coach decreases if he works with much lower rated players? No, not at all. Anjanaya says, in the Dragon Solstice variation on the 13th move, if black doesn't play rook c5 and plays a6, do you know how to punish black? No. I don't need to. I don't need to know that. But a6 just can't be a good move. a6 simply cannot be a good move in that sharp variation of the dragon because you just mate them quickly. It's all about time. Abhishek Singh asks, which game do you really enjoy analysing? For example, Kasparov versus Topalov. No, yeah, it was okay to analyse that. That's a tough question. I'm not sure. At the moment, I'm looking at some games by Capablanca. In fact, in all likelihood, we're going to get a series on Capablanca over the next few weeks. At the moment, my patrons are currently voting on the next topic, and at the moment, Capablanca is in the lead. So you're going to see some Capablanca games, and I really enjoyed looking at these actually. Steve065 says, "Hi Daniel, can you recommend openings for beginners, or should we just follow opening principles, control the center?" Well, yeah, it's good to follow opening principles. I would say in general, keep it simple. Control the center, develop your pieces. You know, against d4, I always recommend the Queen's Gambit for black, because you put something solidly in the middle of the board, you get your pieces out easily, and you get castled. That's a good result. You know, if you mess about with other stuff, and you have a strong pawn structure as well. If you mess around with other openings, you can sometimes come out with a weak pawn structure or whatever. So yeah, my advice in the opening, keep it simple. Guest informant asks, what about plans against the Dutch Stonewall setup? It's a process opening. I hate playing against it. Do you know what? I love playing against the Stonewall. It's just such good fun for white to play against. Let me just switch 1 second. So, for example, okay, I mean, it depends on your move order, but something like this. I mean, obviously, this move order is variable. So, bishop d6. You want to play bishop e7. I mean, one thing you can do is simply trade off these bishops. So bishop f4 is a pretty good move. If you'd prefer not to damage your king side, which I understand, then you can play like this and play with bishop a3. And if they play here, then you can play bishop here. Oh, whoops, not this. And you can play queen c1 and bishop a3. This is not a bad system at all. Simply putting the bishop to b2 and playing the knight to e5 is a good idea. This is also excellent. So, for example, to play something like this and play this and put the knight on f3 and put this here. This is a very nice system. If you want to be more adventurous, I don't know. I mean, this is adventurous. Thing is, you have to remember when you play the Stonewall Dutch that that f pawn creates weaknesses here. The black king eventually will be very weak because the f pawn is advanced. So you have to hang on to that. There's a little bit of early aggression, but when black starts chucking his pawns down the board, you have to remember it's going to come good for white. You know, this kind of positionally, this is better for white. Black's king will turn out to be weaker than white's. Remember that. But I mean, there are many ways, many decent systems for white. I mean, one thing you can do is, I mean, you can wait, you know, something like queen c2, wait till the bishop comes here and play bishop f4. Now notice you haven't castled yet, so that when they do something like this, well, you can castle on the other side of the board and you go for some kind of attack. You know, this is not stupid. Okay, wait a second. Right, we're back again. So I love playing against the Stonewall because it's a fixed pawn structure and you can position your pieces, you know, around those weak dark squares. Zia asks about sublinear. Well, maybe that's for another time, but as I said, probably the next series I'm going to do is on Capablanca, and that was voted on by my patrons. If you become a patron of the channel, then you can get to suggest topics and to vote on them. So there you go. There's a little bit of an incentive if you want to contribute to the channel. So just go to, I'm going to write this in, Patreon, wait a second, patreon.com. Power Play Chess. There we go. And if you contribute to the channel, then you get extra videos, you get a newsletter with analysis, and you get the chance to vote on the next topics that I cover. So there you go. There's a little bit of an incentive. Nick Gatrell asks, is the Ponziani opening good at any level? Again, it's a kind of surprise opening, and it's not such a bad opening. Let me see. I think I'm going to leave it there. Abhishek Singh asks, what's my favorite chess game that I've played? Yeah, I think I showed one of my chess games here before. I won a really nice game against David Howe. That's one of my favorites. Okay, folks, I'm going to leave you there. Listen, thank you very much for joining me, and thank you for those of you that persisted in spite of my all the technical difficulties, which were entirely down to me. I'm afraid I was simply hitting the wrong button when I came out of the analysis board each time. So my apologies for that. But as I said, thank you for all of those that stuck with the broadcast tonight. And well, coming up fairly soon on the channel, some games, some of my favorite games from Capablanca. So I hope you look forward to that. And I've been really enjoying analyzing those games at Capablanca's. Thanks for joining me. See you soon.